mother was an alcoholic. She got into a fight outside the Occidental Hotel just down here on Main in Logan. Got her eye stabbed out. We went into a coma and went into surgery, C-section at HSC out, and then I was released into the world. I was born drunk with FAS, ADD, HD. I was put on Ritalin at a young age, so already the drugs were already started into my life. I used to be a big cokehead back in the day, and then as it progressed, there was no more coke in the city. It was just pills mixtured with meth, so you get that higher longer. It makes you super paranoid. You don't trust anybody because you think everybody's against you. It's like 2-3 years later, you know what I mean? You don't even realize like what happened. You know, you're sitting there in a corner of some dingy place somewhere you broke into. It's an abandoned house, and no one's around you but just your evil thoughts. You're sitting there in the corner wondering what's going on, and then bang, back in your head again. Oh, I need another blast. It takes your heart, your soul, your mind. It takes everything away from you. Everybody, everything just leaves you there empty. Just an empty carcass, man. You're just like, you know, pretty much a zombie. It's like the zombie drug.
I grew up in a good home. I came from a family that knew who God was. I had a relationship with God. I knew who Jesus was. Sometime in my life, I started making bad decisions. I became distant from God. I found myself hanging out with certain people that I probably should not have been hanging out with, and I got introduced to crack cocaine. My experience with crack cocaine wasn't too long. It was probably less than 2 years, but in that short period of time, it did destroy my life.
I had a good childhood till I was 9 years old, and then at that time I was sexually abused. The person sexually abusing me was our maid, and eventually my dad adopted her, so she became our sister. So that started the hate that I had for people, for myself. I went from alcohol into smoking marijuana, and then doing cocaine, and then finally became like smoking crack. I went to jail a few times for certain drugs and stuff. When I left jail in 2014, I was homeless.
I guess it started when I was young. I was 14 years old. I was caught with prostitution. From being on the streets and being a prostitute, I had self-medicated myself with various drugs. I did drugs for over 20 years. When you do drugs, you open a gateway for demons. I've seen my own self in the dark side. I've seen that in myself. And it's a scary place. It's a very scary place.
I've been an addict since I was 12, I would say, because that's when I first started drinking, and then drugs came when I was 14, and I'm gonna be 50 next year. I think last year was probably my worst time of my life. I was so broken.
When I became a teenager, my mom's rages when she was drinking turned to me. She would drink for days and hallucinate and see devils, and so I never really knew what was happening, what was real and what wasn't real. So I started going away from the house as much as I could, and that's when drugs and alcohol came into my life. I was introduced to crack cocaine, and my life exploded from that point on. It was I always say I've never been in a darker place than I experienced when that drug came into my life.
And I couldn't get away from alcohol. And a lot of that alcohol and drugs, and a lot of that had to do with I didn't have any hope, or I didn't want to live. And so as it progressed, each decade appeared to get worse, and I was isolated more and more. And because on the outside I looked like I had it together, you know, but I had no relationships really. I had work and I had my drinking. And then at the end, when I got into the crack, that's when I came down to my knees and under the bridge within a year. And I finally had enough. That's what I mean by the end of myself. It's like I was laying under Salter Bridge and saying, just how cold I was. So I tried to take a bunch of pills. Well, I didn't try, I did. I took a bunch of pills the next day, and I drank a Mickey of Bry, and I went to die in the bush.
A new day is dawning in Winnipeg. This new day brings Union Gospel Mission opportunities to feed and clothe the poor. A new day to help men and women recover from their addictions. A new day to provide education. A new day to minister to young people and families in the North End. And most importantly, a new day to share the gospel with people.
Jesus said, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest."
Nothing is going to change unless Jesus is the head of your life. And that's exactly what we try to do with every individual that come through the door, as we try to introduce Jesus to them and then help them make Jesus the head of the home.
That's what Jesus did when he fed the 5,000. People were hungry, he fed them. And at the same time, he also told them about his Father's kingdom.
If the gospel is not preached, then we have a problem, which is that people will not go to heaven and they will be lost. Yes, we met a need in their lives, but we didn't lead them to salvation, which is far beyond greater than any purpose in life.
We're taking a stand for Jesus. We're taking a stand for the Bible and saying, this is our textbook. This is our guide.
We've planted a flag for the gospel in a very dark place in Winnipeg, in the inner city. I believe that Satan is a very real being, and he's not too happy about us being here. We're taking people who are going down a life of destruction and leading them down that path of life that I mentioned from Psalm 16, where it says, "You make known to me the path of life. In your presence is fullness of joy."
God is unconditional love for you. He's made you in his image, and it doesn't matter what you've done in the past. He does love you, and he will forgive you. And he will help you. If you want that help, he will help you in your recovery and in your journey.
And it's interesting to see how Jesus, no matter what the addiction is, he's able to overcome it with all that he has for us in the gospel. So we see that with the guys who are alcoholics, the people who are addicted to crystal meth. Whatever the addiction is, Jesus is able to overcome it.
For the first time, picked up a Bible to actually read out of it. This used to be just words. Now it means something. It is like I'm starting to understand things. I would like to read one of the first ones that caught my eye, that really got me when I was here. Do not be deceived. Evil company corrupts good habits. So I was having trouble when I first got here with my phone, with the Facebook, with all the social media. So I was like, you know what? I can't do this. It's too much pressure. So I just turned all that off. Just put my cell phone in my drawer. I feel blessed that I was able to find Jesus and God and this place. It was, like I said, I never knew any help. So if I didn't find this place, I'd still be out there to this day doing everything the same way. Just being lost, thinking my way was right, thinking that I was a man, and there was no other way. But here I am, living proof, man, there is another way.
I wouldn't have thought that back in 2004 that my life would be altered or transformed so much. From somebody that was literally on the streets. I have a family. I got married last year. I have so much, and it was because God had a plan for me. I didn't know what that plan was. I knew that back when I was doing drugs, I definitely was not on that plan. But he takes God works in ways that he'll take something that seems like hopeless, and that's what he specializes in.
There was this thought in my head that says, go get a Bible. Looking back, the idea that for me to pick up the Bible was God taught me enough is enough. So I came to Union Gospel Mission. I was honest. I just kept on telling them, like, I cried a lot, and so many different offices. But I needed to do that. I need to get all the bad stuff out in order to start getting good stuff in. And also, till I got here, even though I gave all the hurt to God, I never forgave the lady for what happened in my childhood. So, and this from here, he says, did you forgive her? I says, what are you talking about? Well, I mean, like, did you? I says, no, I never thought of it. So we prayed first, and I forgave her, and it was just amazing, the feeling I felt that moment. My favorite verse in the Bible is Jeremiah 29. It says, said that he has a plan for me. And that's all I need to know.
My son was apprehended from me when he was born, but through the grace of Christ and the grace that the people have shown me here, and through the nurturing and knowing God, that I was able to get the strength to fight for my son and obtain my son. You're not ever going to escape the pain of life. Life is unfair, life is hard, life is rough, but with Christ on your side, he gives you grace, he gives you peace, he gives you strength, and he will give you what you need for that day if you reach out and you accept it in your life.
Coming here, I've been like set free, and they started showing me a different way to think and to live. Like I was almost killed, and when I called his name out, like when I was being assaulted, I called his name, and that's when it's like I was saved. Like the person attacking me they backed away when I said Jesus' name, and it's like Jesus heard me and he like saved my life, and I believe like he has a purpose for me.
And I knew God was the answer. I know that God was always the answer. And I remember feeling that he really does forgive me. Like there wasn't even a question. It was almost like when I was that young girl and knowing it was going to be okay. I didn't hear physically him, but yet I knew. It was like he was saying to me, you're forgiven, you're mine.
It's such a joy to know that when I'm at the end of my race and I close my eyes and I open them, I know what's waiting. And it's like I'm gonna have that feeling of love overwhelm me again, and I'm gonna look in his face, and I'm just, I think about that all the time. I think, I can't wait to see you. I can't wait to thank you eye to eye for the healing in my heart that you've done, and for the love he's worked through the people here.
Every day the clouds move in and fill your sky. Yesterday's a painful scar that dims the light. There's a love that wants to wipe your tears away. Close your eyes and welcome the change. Reach out and touch the hands of love, and now give it all you have. chance. You